Alright guys, day 16, part 2. So in this video I want to talk about balancing your financial pursuits with your academic work. It's something that I struggled with in the past, and at times it does get hectic balancing the two, making time for both. Because obviously, like if you're in high school, if you're in middle school, if you're in college, if you're in like higher education in general, if you're pursuing anything in academics, and there's a legitimate reason behind why you're pursuing it, like you're not pursuing a useless degree like philosophy. No offense to anyone who's studying philosophy. I love philosophy. It's definitely a great subject, something that I think everyone should learn about, because it makes you more mature. It gives you a better perspective and a better understanding of the world and how people act, and it's just great. Like, philosophy is a great subject, but it's not something that you get a degree in and waste hundreds of thousands of dollars for, because it's not going to get you a job. It's not going to make you any money. A degree is like an investment, so you have to consider the ROI that you're getting from acquiring that degree. You have to consider the time it takes to get the degree, which is costly, not just because it's costly because of opportunity cost, because you're giving up 4 years of potential earnings by doing that. Or if you go to grad school, then you're giving up even more. And so you have to consider the ROI and whether or not the degree is worth it in the end. Will it make you back more money than it costs you? I went off on a bit of a tangent there. But the point is, if you're balancing academics and your financial or entrepreneurial or investment pursuits, I know how difficult it can get. Believe me, I've been there. I've been swamped with work from both things before, to the point where I got burnt out several times in the past. And so I want to share with you how I manage all my work. So first and foremost, I, at least according to most people, don't behave like a normal human being, because I wake up well before 5 a.m. In fact, I start working by 5 a.m. So basically, I split my work into chunks throughout the day. So my first work block is dedicated to my financial pursuits, the things that I'm actively working on, my businesses, investments, and whatnot. I do that for the first 2.5 hours every single morning before I take a shower. And then after I take a shower, then I start working on my academic tasks and whatnot. And then after lunch until dinner time, I'll work on any other stuff that I have that's remaining for the day, whether it's academic or financial. And then in the evenings, it's my learning block, I actively improve on the skills that I have, the skills that I'm trying to learn and develop, things like sales, code, media, marketing, and I also complete any kind of miscellaneous tasks that I have. Now, the reason why I've structured it this way is because I've structured it according to my energy levels. So what I've noticed is that in the mornings, like first thing in the morning, right? No one's ever completely awake first thing in the morning. Very few people are. I rarely am. And that's exactly why I make sure to do my financial work first thing in the morning, because it requires the least resistance for me to do. I enjoy that kind of work the most, by far. I enjoy it much more than my academic work, because academic work, at least for what I'm doing right now, I mean, in the future it's probably going to get more fun, because I am studying something that I'm genuinely interested in, something that I genuinely want to pursue. So in the future it's definitely going to be more fun, but right now it's pretty boring. So I do my financial work first thing in the morning, because it gets me out of bed and it's pretty easy for me to do. So regardless of how I feel, regardless of my energy levels, I'll still get the job done with that. After I'm done with that part of the day, I'll usually go shower, probably. Yeah, I usually go shower, freshen up, because I start doing my work within 15 to 20 minutes of waking up. Technically 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes. Within 30 minutes of waking up, I start working, and so I need to shower, not smell like a pig for the rest of the day, and be clean and maintain basic human hygiene. So I shower right after that. And then what I've noticed, based on my observations, is that after I take a shower, around like 8 a.m. or so, that's when I get my energy levels pumped up, like they're really high. So that's when I start my academic work. And the reason being is my academic work, as of right now, it's much more like I face much more resistance to doing my academic work than my financial work. I find it less entertaining, less appealing, and so that's why I do my academic work at the times or during the time window where I have the most amount of energy. when I have the most amount of mental clarity and focus, because the environment that I'm in, my energy state, my mental state, all of it makes it easier for me to be productive, so I can overcome that resistance and still get shit done, get my academic work done. And so you know how they say eat your frog first? They don't literally mean eat your frog first thing in the morning. They mean eat your frog at the beginning of your peak productivity window, which for me I've noticed is around that time, and then it slowly dips after lunch. So that's basically where I do the bulk of my academic work. I just get that shit out of the way as fast as I possibly can, without compromising on the quality, of course, but I get it done. And for those of you who don't know, eating the frog basically just means working on your most difficult task first. That's basically it. Like if you had 3 tasks in a day, one's easy, one's like in the middle, one's super hard. You want to work on the hardest one first, so that the day gets easier as it progresses. You don't want the work that you do during the day to become more difficult as you progress, because you're just going to procrastinate on the really hard task if you don't get it out of the way first thing. So just a productivity hack there. Again, I'm a productivity nerd or / geek, in case you couldn't tell. But yeah. So after lunch, when my energy levels dip again, I've gotten used to it, and gotten accustomed to the dip, so I foresee it. I'm mentally aware that it might hit me, but I basically do like less important work during that time, during the afternoon, and then that's basically it. Like the rest of the day, like it's just it's usually just like miscellaneous tasks, admin work, stuff like that, and of course learning. That's a big part of my day. And so that's basically how I structure my day. I align the kind of work that I do with the times at which I have. I align the work, the kind of work I do, depending on the time of the day and the amount of energy that I typically have during that time of the day. And I've only understood my own energy levels and how they fluctuate throughout the day by tracking what I eat and how my energy levels actually are on a daily basis. I actually have an Excel sheet that I maintain where I track how I feel every time I start working at a different time of the day. And so I have all of this data that tells me how I perform working on a specific task during, say, at 5 a.m. in the morning, at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, at 6 p.m. in the evening, at 8 p.m. in the night, and so on. And so I have all of that data to tell me, to analyze, to understand how my energy levels fluctuate throughout the day. And so I'm able to align the kind of work that I do with my energy levels based on how they are. Because it's predictable, I do the same stuff every day, I'm consistent, I have a routine, and so that's why successful people, quote-unquote like motivational gurus on YouTube, emphasize having routines, having structure, having consistency, and being disciplined in that regard. And even though it's usually sappy motivation, in this case, like in this regard, having routine and mandating that is true, because that consistency does make every other aspect of your life much easier, especially your work, especially how productive you're able to be. That's basically how I manage the 2 kinds of work that I primarily have. I do the least important work at the end of the day. I work on my my financial tasks when I don't have as much energy, but earlier in the morning, so that it's okay for me to stimulate my mind during that time, because I don't want to be working on something super intensive right before bed, because then my mind's going to be all agitated and it'll screw up my sleep. So I don't want to do that, so I work on that kind of stuff in the morning. And then my academic tasks I work on during my peak productivity window, in the mid to late morning, early afternoon, before lunch. And so yeah, that's how I split it up, that's how I manage it. So hopefully that helped you. I hope you found it valuable, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.